Get ready to strap in. It's going to be a heck of a ride. It's like drinking from a fire hose. Never a dull moment, but yes, you'll hear the stories you won't hear anywhere else, and we appreciate you being here with us for them today. I'm Justin Barclay. Yeah, there is big breaking news and has been over the last days about Maha, and finally some moms getting answers that they would like. And one of the big stories that we've been following is the latest on autism and the major announcement the president was teasing over the weekend.
And by the way, I think I can say that there are certain groups of people that don't take vaccines and don't take any pills that have no autism. Does that tell you something? That's currently... Is that a correct statement?
By the way, it's interesting to hear him say that because he's talking about the Amish people. We're going to talk about the whole press conference, the announcements they made.
There are some studies that suggest that, with the Amish, for example.
The Amish, virtually. I heard none. See, Bobby wants to be very careful with what he says.
They are, by the way, the scientists, the doctors. If you're flanked by RFK Jr. and Dr. Oz for this announcement. And they're being very precise, but the president very candid in his conversation, what he had to say. Joining us, an expert, our go-to for health questions, Make America Healthy Again, right up her alley. Missy's been doing that for a while now. In fact, I'll tell you about my latest phase of getting healthy again with her coming up here in a little bit. But you also have some personal experience, Missy Malone, with us right now about autism, specifically how you fought it and won for your son. That I think moms and anybody that has somebody that they care about, they love, that is dealing with this right now, you might get some help with. We'll talk about that. What was it like for a mom to see this for the first time, though? Like, they're taking it seriously. They're talking to people. They are trying to track down, get these studies out there, and get the answers.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get choked up. I was one of those moms. I mean, I have a 32-year-old son. I have a 31-year-old daughter. And 32 years ago when Jake was born, he had a rough go at birth. And I was young. I didn't know anything about vaccines back then. And so his birthing was rough. And there was his APGAR score was low. And they didn't know if he was going to make it through the night. But the one thing that they made sure of was that he got all of his vaccines. Now, I didn't know much about that back then. But then as he started growing, and even as a baby, there was something seriously wrong with him. And then as he continued to get a little bit older, and when kids are supposed to be talking and kids are supposed to be playing with toys like normal kids would play with toys, he wasn't doing any of that. And I would take him to doctor after doctor. I got him in speech therapy, occupational therapy. I did everything a mom would do, and no one took me seriously. I mean, and he is a tall boy. He's like 6'4", 6'5" now. So he was a tall little boy. Mm-hmm. And so that tall little boy, I was always holding on to him, and he just had a lot of issues. And we would end up learning later on down the road that he was autistic. Mm-hmm. And we didn't know the cause of the autism back then, but when he was finally diagnosed, that led my husband and I out to chiropractic school, because we were told when he was around four and a half that we took him to a large group of doctors. I got him in to be evaluated for about 6 hours. And then at the end of that time, I'm like, finally, someone's going to be able to tell me what is going on. And they kind of didn't. They said it back then. I'm in the state of Michigan. They said that he had pervasive developmental disorder. I'm like, man, like 26, 7 years old at the time. I'm like, what's that mean? So they kind of explained it, and it still didn't make any sense. So I said, help me understand, what's he look like as a high schooler? Let's just go with that. Let's go with a high school kind of kid. Is he playing sports? Is he going to dances and things like that? And no one said anything. And then kind of looked around the room at each other, and finally somebody spoke up, and they said, well, we're going to kind of say that he's probably going to be dependent on you for the rest of his life. And if he does have a job, he might have a job that could push a broom, something kind of simple like that. And I was like, oh, Okay. But then they didn't call it autism. And then in our journey, we went out to chiropractic school, and it was probably in around the second or third trimester of him being in college at the university that he came back in the house and one day and he was like, "You're not going to believe this." And now what was crazy is that he was an analytical pharmaceutical chemist before he became a chiropractor. So he was making cancer. He was making working with stuff to make cancer protocols with a big company that is still around. And so I was shocked that he didn't know any of that because, I mean, he's a scientist and he's a chemist, for Pete's sakes. So then when we look back on the journey, we realized that, yep, we got our kids, both my kids, they got all their vaccines. And back then, autism was like, well, that was a whole nother story of how I discovered he was truly autistic. But back then the stat was 1 in 10,000. And you start learning like what for us the cause was, which was vaccine damaged. And learning about the acetaminophen and what they're talking about with the Tylenol, of course, I mean, it just compounds the damage being done to the child's system. So we spent the course of about 27 years when having our chiropractic office, about 27 years of explaining in monthly seminars all the time. We had posters all around our office. We weren't telling a parent what they should do, but a lot of people, they didn't know what they didn't know. And so when he brought it to light, and back then the schedule was one, by the time the child was 5 or 6 years old, there would be 35 antibodies injected into a child before to school. Well, an MMR is 3 antibodies wrapped into one shot. So they're like, oh, they only got a couple shots. Well, how many antibodies went into that shot? And so again, it's an education, just explaining to people, just bringing to light. And I can't believe, Justin, that I'm alive to see what's happening, because we knew, all of us that have been in this role for like the last 30 years, the giant is the pharmaceutical industry. And who's going to slay the giant? I mean, because that giant is in the back pockets of so many people. And so here we are, and here we are talking about autism, and I'm like, I got goosebumps. I want to cry. I'm not supposed to cry, but I could probably cry. But I'm just saying, I'm like, it's a huge day. In the Amish community, I live right down the road from the Amish community. No one's sick. No one ever gets sick. I mean, they're happy, they're joyful, they're all functioning the way that the body was designed to function, the way that God designed it to, how he built it.
Really is interesting. That's a point I want to talk about here in a second too. But here is RFK Jr. saying, maybe we should be listening to these mothers. These are the people just like yourself in a situation that haven't been listened to for years.
One area that we are closely examining, as the president mentioned, is vaccines. Some 40 to 70% of mothers who have children with autism believe that their child was injured by a vaccine. President Trump believes that we should be listening to these mothers instead of gaslighting and marginalizing them like prior administrations. Some of our friends like to say that we should believe all women. Some of these same people have been silencing and demonizing these mothers for 3 decades.
Wow.
Because research on the potential link between autism and vaccines has been actively suppressed in the past. It will take time for an honest look at this topic by scientists. But I want to reassure the people in the autism community that we will be uncompromising and relentless in our search for answers. We will perform the studies that should have been performed 25 years ago. Whatever the answer is, we will tell you what we find. We are researching this issue to all 3 agencies. Jay will discuss one of our research initiatives at NIH.
So this announcement was several-fold. Like, the one part that's getting a lot of focus right now is the Tylenol, the acetaminophen part. And I can absolutely, by the way, I can only imagine what this is like for you now, to see this as something that you've had to face. Very emotional. But the other part,
demonized, yes, my whole life,
But the part that I think that is even more, and people are missing this because they're focusing on Tylenol.
Right.
But But they're saying we are going to do the research to get answers so that we can get people fix this problem, solve it, and get people help. By the way, here's a tweet from Tylenol's own account back from 2017 saying, "We actually don't recommend using any of our products while pregnant. Thank you for taking the time to voice your concerns today." Isn't that something? Now, what's wild to watch is that we've got this has been turned into such a political thing that we've got folks on the left taking and making videos, even pregnant women,
Yeah.
Tylenol, taking it in the videos, and we did a whole story on this the other day, but it's wild to watch because they want their 15 seconds of fame, or they have some sort of sort of Trump derangement syndrome where
Yeah.
they do this. Look at all these videos. I mean, this is
Oh,
video after video here.
yeah. They have no idea. They have no idea.
No, I mean, I'm gonna take care of some of this video, the music here. Here they are taking
I
it.
have to take Tylenol for my headache while pregnant because I don't take my medical advice from a man who doesn't have.
Can you imagine? Maybe you should ask your doctor if that's a good idea. I mean, can you imagine?
No.
And this is rage. This is sort of a rage clickbait type of thing, but
Yeah.
and the other thing is, like, they don't even have a use for it. Like, they just were doing it to make a video. Like, there was no headache, there was no fever, there was no. I just want to make a video, and it's just so crazy because on the flip side, like, even as when I have things, like, usually the last thing I want to do is take something like a pill or anything for it. People don't realize. So just in this culture where they don't realize that these things have consequences. We live in this consequence-free culture, which is probably the bigger issue anyway, where they don't see the consequences. What do you think of that?
Well, it's the Trump deranged syndrome, and you nailed it. It's the clickbaiters, it's the people that want their 15 seconds of fame, but they don't understand what is truly happening on the inside of the body. When you take that pill and then you swallow your glass of water and then you go pop on the TV, that pill it's doing something on the inside.
Yeah.
It's a chemical messenger. And that chemical messenger, I guarantee, the body that was designed by God was not designed to recognize those chemicals. I mean,
even Tylenol, like the company that makes Tylenol, is saying, "Hey, we don't recommend that you take this when you're pregnant." Number one, that's in their social media messaging for 2017, but they're definitely not going to recommend that you take their product for no reason whatsoever,
right.
other than to make a video. This is just wild to me.
It's crazy. They just don't understand when that baby comes out of them. Those are probably first-time moms, my guess, because I can't fathom a mom that's already birthed a child after they see the miracle they're holding on to would not do that. They had to be first-time moms. That's the only thing I can think of. They're just young and naive, and you can tell who they've been listening to.
It's so sad to watch.
Horrible. It's
But
horrible, let alone the vaccines. And yeah, I believe this, I call this a slow drip. Let's come in with something kind of not so controversial, Tylenol, and let's and I love how they're weaving it in and bringing in the vaccine. And then they're saying they're going to be truthful with us. So they can't just unleash everything that people that have been a part of this movement. I mean, I'm like, hey, Maha. I'm like, I've been kind of a Maha girl without even knowing it. And I just never thought I'd see the day that literally the world is tuning in to this message. I mean, because like, again, when you've got like the little voices like myself, and other moms that are, I mean, and you're trying to go and you're trying to talk to other parents that at the just where you're out and about socializing, and you see and you hear them talk, and they're talking about like, oh yeah, I got to take Susie in for her 2-year checkup. I'm like, ooh, I know what's going to happen at that. I know what's going to happen at that right there. And I'm like, oh, can I ask you a few questions? Have you ever thought about this? I don't tell them what I ask questions, because most people are being so used to having information shoved down their throat.
right.
Ask some questions and he gets them to think. That's when you start. I mean, again, I plant the seed, and and I have seen There is a couple of our clients, they had normal children, and at the 2-year checkup, their kid is now non-verbal, and their
Oh,
child is going to be attending the special ed school that my son went to. And I'm like, I don't want your son there. I don't want your daughter there. Please listen to me.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it even came out. They put a fear tactic on all the chiropractors years ago, and they said, in the event that somebody chose not to get the vaccine because they saw your poster on the wall with objective findings, I didn't make the poster, I bought it. It was all objective findings showing you all the different injections that are going to go on the child, and the side effects to what some of those injections can do. They said if a parent doesn't get their child vaccinated because of your posters, and then there's something that's terrible that happens to that child down the road, you're liable.
Yeah.
So guess what happens? Fear comes on, and it's like, do you want to lose everything you've ever worked for? I guess we better take the posters down. I mean, they have been trying to clamp our mouths for so long, it's not even funny. That was probably 15 years ago when they had us come in. I mean, all the chiropractors knew. I mean, it was like a memo went out because all of us were the same. We're explaining the
Yeah.
natural feeling of the body.
It's like a PR war going on too, and I think if people like they have get to understand like just the evolution of how this works. Like here's Reuters in 2013 with a headline: "Too much Tylenol in pregnancy could affect development." 2013. Now 2025, their headline on this story with Trump is Trump links autism to Tylenol and vaccines. Claims not backed by science. So,
Right.
in other words, how dare he? And yet just 12 years earlier, they shared the same story. So that's a whole nother question of how we're going to wake people up when it comes to that. But I
Right.
want to talk more about, some of the things that you've seen, what you're hoping may come out of, the research that's coming in the days ahead, and what you did with your son, because the story we barely just scratched the surface, but is really compelling.
Yeah.
What do you hope to see out of this research?
The word hope. The word hope is the word right there, that parents have hope that they know something's going to be done about it. Because
Yeah.
when you have had a damaged child, and you look at the masses just going in and sheeple, just going in, getting their shots, and you're just like with a blowhorn just saying, don't do it. And the noise is so loud. They're like, who do you trust these days to say anything? My hope is that, well, I have a feeling they're going to probably start seeing a lot more moms probably starting to appear on shows, would be my guess. And the more of us that can get out there and talk, you're going to hear real people. I'm not dressed up in a suit. You see my place I live. I mean, it's like real people really, I think, hope and giving. And if they stop doing the vaccines, if they stop the schedule of vaccines that they're doing, then we're not going to have 1 in 47 kids be diagnosed with autism. Because I'm telling you, what happens, the outcome of these children, especially when they're severely autistic, there's mild, there's Asperger's, there's severe. The parents that have the severe autistic kids, the result of them getting divorced is so high. I've watched it. I've watched autism shred family units. These parents end up getting divorced, and then the kids that are quote unquote not autistic, they end up they're coming suicidal. They're becoming sorry, my dog's having a little asthma attack right now.
No, that's okay.
Sorry, Willie. Hold on a minute.
Make sure he's okay. What kind of dog is Willie?
It's a little Shih Tzu. She's still going at it again. Hold
Oh
on.
my gosh. I wonder if it's Lily. Maybe I got that wrong. Did you say Lily or Willie?
No, her name's. Oh, gosh darn it! Hold
I
on.
was going to say you may just have to pick her up there. Yeah, bring her.
What I have to do is I just have to plug her nose and it forces her to breathe out of her mouth.
Oh, okay.
It's like a little, they have like a little short little. There she goes. She's breathing.
There you go.
There it is. Magic.
So Lily is her
Will
name?
Willow, but
Oh, Willow.
Willow. You just needed to calm down. Yeah, Willow, but Willow is too hard to yell Willow, so I call her Willie. Um, she's
Sure.
not transgender or anything like that. I'm like, I've wondered about that too. Or people going like, oh, Willie, Willie, is that a boy's name? But it's a girl.
Well, I like it.
But yeah, so these kids though, I've watched. It was one up close personal family, good friends of ours. Their son became autistic. Later on, I mean, he was younger than my son, and they're divorced. Lots of anti-anxiety medication, depression medication has been popped by all the other kids in the family because the world revolves around the child with autism.
Oh.
And I've watched that because my daughter, she was part of that whole system too, because she didn't, they were almost like twins. They're 10 months apart. So since Jake didn't talk and Jake did this all the time, and sigga digga 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 afwa, he didn't even call me mom. He didn't get to call me mom until, he learned how to call me mom by the time I was 5. So good news is my son, I don't know if you want to touch on this here, but when we went out to chiropractic school, I'm trying to make this amazing story short. I found, I was online one day trying to find anything to help get inside my son's head because I couldn't understand him. He didn't understand me. So I bought a book one day online. The book company called me the next day. Why'd you order this book? I explained, I'm trying to understand my son. I don't get it. I've been told PDD, pervasive developmental disorder. She said, that's not the book for you. She turned me on to another book. And this book was written by a mom with a child just like mine. And that's when I learned autism. And that's for the first time, I'm like, autism, that's Rain Man. This is how long ago it was. Autism was only known as Rain Man, a savant autistic. But anyways, the lady in the book found a program based out of California that pulled 80% of children that had autism out of autism. And those 80%, they would go on to live a normal life and no one would ever know they're autistic.
Wow.
I have one of those kids. Jake is one of those kids. So he did the 2 years of intensive one-on-one therapy. It didn't change his food. I didn't know about the food part yet. I'm not getting him any more vaccines, so that was good. But then we did this 2-year program, and he now lives in Sydney, Australia. He's married. He's living the dream. He's got a child, and his wife even kind of, I don't want to say fights me on this, but it's like, I have a hard time believing Jake was autistic. It makes no sense. She's a psychologist.
Do you have any videos or anything like? I mean, I know it was a long time ago.
I do have it, but I don't have it prepared for now. Oh, I kept it. I kept. Yeah, it's crazy because.
So has she been able to see? Because I know you're far away.
Yes, I did. I showed it to her, and so you figure we went out to chiropractic school to be able to have a career, to be able to support a child that was going to live with us for the rest of his life, and maybe push a broom. And what we ended up coming home with was a child that speaks, that talks, that is engaged in the world. And so we came back with a son and an amazing career at the same time. But and so when we came back to our hometown, and people know us, right? So I'm out and about with all of our friends, and it's been, about 3 years since they've really seen us. And now here comes Jake talking, and they're like, I mean, just to watch the look on people's faces, they're like, and they'd pull me aside like, what happened? What happened to him? I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, he talks. He is engaging. He's not in the corner doing this anymore and talking gibberish. And I was like, he did 2 years of intensive therapy. They're like, oh my gosh. So yeah, it was pretty cool because when I was told he was going to probably not do so well in high school and probably be that, in that way, he ended up getting homecoming king. I'm like, it's just like, and the school knew. Everyone knows his story. So
that's to me is so wild. So there's hope for people that are going through this.
Yes. Yes.
And to know that that's possible is massive. And the hope and the story of what we're seeing. Hey, I'm going to ask you. We barely got into this at the beginning, but what about we'll play a little bit of these comments. But what about the Amish?
That's currently. Is that a correct statement, by the way?
There are some studies that suggest that, with the Amish, for example.
The Amish. Yeah, virtually. I heard none.
None.
See, Bobby wants to be very careful with what he says.
You
And
know, it's interesting because, we're getting comments in the chat and questions that I think are very important. In fact, we'll go to a few here. Abel watching right now behind the scenes live stream in the VIP over on Locals. Abel says, I can't believe how many shots they want to give babies. We use the vaccine friendly handbook to navigate the shots for Evelyn. So I'm not exactly sure what the vaccine friendly handbook is. We kind of just landed on we weren't going to do anything. And one of the things, and you and I kind of talked about this for a while, Missy, is that our oldest, she was born 3 months early, and they were trying to pump her full of stuff before we ever left the hospital. We were in the hospital for 77 days from the day my wife's water broke until the day we took her home. And our story is pretty simple, which is I just wanted to bring her home. And when confronted with that piece, like the whole time, that was the goal, is to get home, to get out of there. And you just look, simple. I want to take my baby home, and I want to hold her in my arms, in my home, and I want to get out of this hospital. Now, this is during COVID. And they're saying, oh, you've got to have all of this stuff. And I said, what does some happen? They said, no, well, you'd be in the best place if something does happen. I said, you know what? We'll look at it. We're going to take a look, and we'll move down the road. Well, one of the things we were doing as we got very healthy ourselves, we get very we kind of crunchy at the time, the way we were looking at things. And and working with a chiropractor who was walking through, some of these, like the documentary of the business of being born and things like that. So we're going through watching that stuff. We had been prepared with that when we went through, but I got a call during this time when Biden won the election and he's putting together his administration. And this person called me and said, you're never going to believe this. I won't get into the full story, but someone she knew very well, a relative, was going to be named the head of the CDC. She was very concerned. And she said, you don't understand. These people know nothing about this, that, and the other thing. And she said, there's just big donors and yada, yada, yada. And this is really concerning to me. Well, every time I would call, because one of the things you had to do when you were trying to get out of the hospital is before you leave, you have to have a pediatrician. So we hadn't done any of this stuff because we got 3 months to go. We're still, waiting time. Yep. So now I'm on the phone. I'm calling around, talking to these doctors' offices, trying to find out where we're going to go. And each one of them said, and I, without asking, because I wasn't even keen to this or aware of it at the point, but they each said, you have to promise, or you have to, each one of our patients abides by the CDC recommended guidelines for vaccinations. Like, there's no questioning.
You know why?
Guidelines.
Do you know why?
Money?
Money, because if they can prove that X percentage of their clientele, you're a client, you're not a patient, you're a number, you're a client, you're not a patient, you're a client. Right. If they have, I don't know, they move the needle on this a lot, but last I heard is like they needed 90% of their clients to be vaccinated. And if they're not, they're going to get a massive ding in their, and that was supposed to have changed.
Is that an insurance thing or is that a pharmaceutical company thing?
Probably both. I don't know who controls who, they're all in bed together.
Just set up alarm bells for us though. Cause so I can't ask about, I can't do an a la carte. Like, hey, I want to do this one, but I don't want to do that one. Hey, I want to spread them all out. Right. I want to do them at different times. I don't want to do them all at once, or just these questions that I thought were very reasonable to ask. And I just heard, like, you're not allowed to ask to me. I thought that was big alarm bells. So we ended up finding a great place that we went to. And to this day, we just avoided all of that. Now, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I will say, just like I always said, talk with your trusted healthcare provider. And what I mean by that, it could be a mom or somebody in your family who's a nurse. It could be a chiropractor. It could be somebody that you know that has done the extensive research. And then I want you to take it to God. That's always my sort of like discernment. Use discernment and pray about it and figure out where to go. So I'm not shaming anybody or anything like that. But for us, boy, we got baptized by fire in that situation. And Missy, it was a major awakening. Terry says, I believe prescription drugs have done more damage to my health than has helped me. And if I stop taking them, I'll have real problems. He said, "I am trapped." He kind of feels like he's trapped. It sounds like.
Oh boy, that's a whole nother segment for us to talk on that. I'm telling you, once people understand how their body works and communicates on the inside, it's a whole new game. And he's right. The model that has been built is to keep, it's not healthcare, it's called sick care. They're taking care of you. There, how many people do you know? Question. How many people do you know in the last 5 years and all the conversations that you've heard, has any one of your friends or family members gotten off a medication? Gotten off of something that they've been wanting to get off of? Type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol medication, all of it. No one's getting off of it. They're being added, more is being added because the drug, the chemical messenger that's gone into the body, is causing a little bit of havoc in other areas that no one's paying attention to. But wow, 2 years down the road, whoop, you need another medicine. And then about another 3 years down the road, you need two more medications. And now you're overweight. You're on 3 to 4 medications. One of them is probably now anxiety medication because your cortisol is just taken off. And that's what we see every day in my company is people that are sick of being in the system. If you're on medication, you're in the system. I mean, and that's my passion, is to help people understand how the body works, and also how to look out for other things that could harm the body that they don't think is going to harm them.
Here's another one, really wild, but Abel says exactly. Our hardware store has a manager who spent the last 2 months living in a hospital, went in for foot and leg pain, and now is stuck there. Terry wonders, with the big push from Big Pharma, how do you know which drugs really work for us? Which ones hurt us? How can we trust any doctors, especially after the last 5 years? Any insight onto that? On like,
Yeah.
who we trust and where you get good information?
Boy, I really like a guy named Dr. Mercola. I really like Dr. Mercola a lot. He went through. He's been a person, a beacon out there. Really, I mean, I like him a lot. Let's just say during COVID days, he you now have to have a password. Last I knew, to get into his website, because again, all the FDA, everyone's just like breathing on your neck. The thing is how do we keep yourselves from needing medication is the question. How do we stay away from medication? The first thing we have to look at it, and this is food. We have to look at, you guys, the government has allowed, last I knew, 10,000 chemicals into America that other countries don't allow. Why don't they allow them? Because they're disrupting your hormone endocrine system. They're destroying your gastrointestinal system. And there are chemicals that have gone in your food that were engineered on purpose to go to your brain and tell your brain to crave it again and crave it again. And we want more. You think is this you having a lack of willpower? It's the chemical messengers. I mean, they're in there and so the trusted.
I have a friend from high school that actually ended up, and I won't say which company she works for, but it's in Atlanta, and it's a big drink maker. But she's a scientist in this field of designing. What do they call that? It's like food, development, or something along those lines. But it's chemistry. It's all chemistry. It's wild. It really is.
Oh my gosh, I could talk. There are so many things. I mean, I used to be friends with some head people at Pfizer, because I live not too far away from it. So it's kind of interesting, the conversations that I've heard throughout the years, that if people heard what I heard, there would be an uproar revolution. Let's just say that. It's not good. And so because with the vaccine and what I saw happen to my son, and then I saw what was coming down the pike with the COVID vaccine, and listening to people, like one of my favorite people out there is Dr. Sherry Tenpenny. Dr. Sherry Tenpenny is become a huge person. If anyone's wanting to know more about autism and vaccines, find Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, Tenpenny. She is so good. I am so thankful she's still alive, that she's not been suicided. But she's been talking about vaccines for so long. Matter of fact, she, in her doctoral thesis, I followed her for so long. in her
Yeah.
thesis, she wanted to defend vaccines. So it's kind of like an atheist wanting to prove that God doesn't exist, and they turn out to becoming like a believer in Jesus or God. That's what happened to her. And there's something out there, a buzzword that people can go look up. Now with ChatGPT, it's kind of fun. But look up something called molecular mimicry. Molecular mimicry is what happens with, again, those chemicals that are going in the vaccine. They go in there and they have something. They're supposed to be looking for something. Oh, there she is. But what she discovered is something that kind of like bothered her. She's like, what if it can't find what it's looking for? Do you just pee it out? Do you sweat it out? Or what happens with that chemical that's in there? And what she discovered is that that chemical, when it can't find what it's looking for, is going to find the next best thing that mimics it, molecular mimicry. And then it attaches itself to healthy cells, healthy tissue, healthy ligaments, whatever that is, healthy organ. And then all of a sudden, the wheels fall off your bus and people start to get really sick. I used to know the stat right off the top of my head.
Yeah.
For every person that got 5 flu shots in a row, the odds of you getting Alzheimer's went up 500%.
Oh my goodness.
That was an old stat. I don't have my stats brushed up, but I can brush them up because I mean I've been on this soapbox for so long.
Hey, let me ask you, does that have anything to do, because Spicy Chemist inside our chat has said, my son has an allergy to peanuts now. And I know there's been a rise in autism, but there's also been a rise in this whole peanut allergy thing, which came out of the blue. You can't have peanut butter or peanut anything. You can't have peanuts on a plane anymore.
Absolutely.
Does anybody do that?
Yes, because it's been destroying healthy tissue and you don't know it. Just because, again, we put food in our mouth and then we get in our car and we drive on to our next appointment. We don't take into consideration all the wheels that need to turn on the inside of the body to use it as energy and then get rid of it in the bathroom.
Yeah.
I mean, we forget all that process. The same thing happens with medication. We take the pill, go on our day. Those are chemical messengers. They're doing something. They're frequencies. I'm a frequency girl. Every single thing comes down to a frequency. And that frequency is either there to uplift and support the body, or if it's a toxin or a poison, it's not going to uplift the body. It's going to ultimately hurt the body. Because it's a messenger. It's a chemical frequency messenger.
Well, we've gone all over the place today, but I think these are great conversations. But important for us, that as we're talking about this whole, really, it's a mission and it's a movement to make America healthy again.
Yeah.
And it's happening at a big clip right now. And folks, I'm just telling you, I'm making it my mission right now. But I just personally talking about this, and you and I have worked, Missy, in the past on this before, and I'm entering a new phase, a new chapter, because one of the things you think about, particularly with Charlie Kirk's death, and I look at this guy and how horrific and how tragic it was, but I also look at the guy and I go, man, look at everything he was able to do. And the guy was God was just like using him, and because he was open to it and really ready for the mission that God had for him. I think to myself, am I ready? And I think we're all in this boat. Like, are you ready for what God has planned for you? And if you're not, if your health is getting in the way, that could be a problem. For me, one of the simple things, I just saw Charlie talk. I wish I had this video, but I just saw him talking about this. And he was on George Janko, I think, on his podcast. He was talking about what it is he does to be able to accomplish all these things. And he said, my radio show, and I've got this, and I've got that. He's got plenty of sleep. He said like 9-10 hours of sleep a night, which I was like, that's crazy.
Like, that's awesome.
He got kids, and but he said, I'm eating this way. And he was kind of walking through what he's eating. It's basically sounding like real food, meat and vegetables, that kind of thing. He cut out all this other stuff. And he said, but I have to do that. He said, I have to do that. He gained a little weight from having the baby, but then he took it off, and he said, I have to do that to be able to operate where I need to be. I can't. And I thought about that. I was like, wow, what a massive statement. So what is your health not allowing you to standing in the way from what God has for you? And for me, I think about that on a daily basis. That's why we're here. We have a mission. And so I'm getting back into my mission, and I need folks to hold me accountable, and maybe even some folks to join me as we're pushing to make America healthy again. And Missy, I know you're going to work with us
Yeah.
through this.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
No, I'm popping into something. I'm like, what if we do like, yeah, as we start talking about this and people want to join you, what about from now to the end of the year we do a Charlie discount instead of adjusting to, why don't we do a Charlie
like
a Charlie movement discount?
Yeah.
Because this is the thing, people need to understand that is that what I now do as a career is so, I mean, it's amazing because when I say I want people to have hope, I get people off of type 2 diabetic medication, blood pressure medication. People that have been type 2 diabetic for like up to 30 years are off their medication with me in 40 days.
Wow.
Because because of the science, because I recognize thanks to people like Nikola Tesla and Dr. Royal Rife, who cured cancer by frequencies. I mean, this isn't Star Trek stuff anymore. We are here. We have the ability to turn it all around. You just have to know how amazing the body works and how it communicates. So so I like that.
I don't know how many, like I said, I don't know how many people are going to feel like it and they're going to be maybe encouraged or inspired by what Charlie was doing or what we want to do. But I just know, like as a dad, and, we've got 2 little girls, and, I'm just trying to keep up with them on a daily basis through this show and everything. That's quite a bit. So I don't know who wants to join us, but let me just throw that out there. And I like that idea.
Yeah.
By the way, if you go to healthwithjustin.com, you can find out what it is that I've done in the past. I've seen great success. I lost 40 pounds in 40 days in my first phase with this. And I got to tell you, one of the reasons why I'm getting back on track, and this is to me mostly, is like, yes, the weight is one thing, to be healthy, be able to accomplish the thing, to have the energy. When I'm doing all of this, it's incredible. And I found myself at a place I was really not, I was not healthy, but I also didn't feel good. I had all that aches and pains and the inflammation that you talk about so much. And then not having the energy. I remember falling asleep like at night trying to put the girls to bed, falling asleep when I'm sitting there.
Look at how hard the inside of your body was working. This isn't weight. Your organs were stressed out. I mean, your cortisol is probably just like, the inside of the body is manifest on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
So it's there's hope. I mean, there's so much hope out there. People just need to hear the message, and I'm thankful that I get to be here, one person at a time. Just keep dropping the little seed to get them to understand that the body's amazing.
Well, we're going to have you, but we'll have you back here, and maybe even weekly as we talk about this, because this has really become a mission for me in my own personal life, but also, I think we all really, more than anything, I think we all are probably missing the mark, right? What does God have for us? And whether it's you need to lose some weight or you just want to get healthier so you feel better and you have a little more energy, whatever it might be, there's something there. And I want to make sure that we're giving people the tools to do it. And by the way, this doesn't cost anything. What we're doing here, we're going to do like, if you're up for like weekly updates and like really have conversations around some of these serious things. It doesn't cost anything to be a part of it. I just want to see people get involved. If you do want to do what I'm doing, there's a cost to that because there's all kinds of support and things that you're going to get in the secret really to making it happen. But I really want to think about like the cost when I'm thinking about this. It's like the cost of not doing it. You imagine the price tag of what your meds cost and how bad you feel and all of that else. But I'd love to see people get. So what did you say? The Charlie. What
like do it for Charlie, do it for you. I mean, and I like what you're saying because that's what I've been saying to clients for so long, or people that I talk to. I have a radio show on Mondays, and I'm like, listen, you're a patriot. You are diehard for this country. If you're on medications, if you're overweight and your energy is drained, man, we need you as an army to be fit, buff, healthy, ready to go. I mean, we want to glow. We should shine because we carry the message of Maha. We carry the message of God. I mean, we should glow. We should be exuberant. We should be full of energy. And people around should be like, what do you want? I need some of that. I need some of that. Yeah, that's my passion. That's why I'm here.
Well, God bless you. Thank you for helping again. We're going to continue to follow these stories. The Maha movement is just beginning. As you see this big announcement from the autism, the vaccines. We'll put all links to the stuff we talked about in our show notes today. If you want to join my movement and do it for you, do it for Charlie, do it for America, obviously this is, I think it's even bigger than that. I think it's the spiritual fight
Bigger.
that
Oh,
we're in, it has physical consequences. So we'd love to see you be a part of it. Go to healthwithjustin.com. And again, if folks want to connect with you, maybe they even have questions about autism or other issues, what's the best way for them to do that, Missy?
I would have them call the office or go through Justin your site and just schedule. You can call the office and just say, I'd like to talk to Missy about autism and what did she do with her son? What was it that she did? And I would love to talk. That's free. I mean, I want to help people understand this. I want to help bring understanding, because that's the Bible says wisdom is great, but understanding, that's where it's at.
One of these days, maybe we should do a full-on, maybe like a full-on show where we talk about like some of the things that you actually did to help him get there and pull the curtain back for people that they can have it. Folks, thank you so much for being here with us, hanging out with us. Missy, thank you for being here. And of course, if you have other questions, we'll continue. Always a pleasure. And man, oh man, we are on mission. Make America healthy again. And it starts really, if you think about it, it starts with you.
It does. It really does. Yep.
God bless, folks. I don't know if you just saw the news, but average U.S. household debt just hit $152,000. That's mortgages, cars, cards, student loans. But the national debt just hit $37 trillion. It's all going out. Ask yourself this: when the system hiccups, who bails you out? It's not the Fed, not the politicians, and that's why I own gold. Gold doesn't need a CEO, doesn't need missed earnings. It doesn't freeze your account on a Friday at 4:59. While they print, gold just sits there doing what it's done for thousands of years. Store value. If you're done playing musical chairs with your savings, get something real in your hand. That's why you should try our good friends Kirk Elliott Precious Metals today. Goldwithjustin.com. Kirk and the team going to walk you through what they're doing, whether you're a seasoned pro when it comes to buying precious metals or you're just getting started. Call Kirk and the team today at 720-605-3900. That's 720-605-3900, or go to goldwithjustin.com to find out how they can help you today. No pressure, just facts and a plan. That's goldwithjustin.com. Protect what's yours with gold. Goldwithjustin.com. Do it today.